Hi, 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 hi. Friday, June 5th. Huge week, maybe in history, we hope, for the better. Also, one of the most intense weeks of my life. Anybody else feeling that too? And it's funny because I said that last week, like, I don't know how it could get any more intense. And I realized I've been saying that for like several years. And I guess I just want to acknowledge anybody who's showing up tonight, either live or after the fact, that if you're feeling a little less than grounded, a little uneasy in any way, a little grouchy with the people you love, a little bit of scared sometimes, you're not alone, and we're all feeling it. And it's always been my intention with this platform to be able to offer some service to the community that likes to hang out. And so thanks for showing up for some social time, and also some listening, some fun stories, and mostly a conversation, I hope, between friends. So if you didn't know, this is Showing Up. It was created to help you lean into your weird, do the thing, even if you suck at it, and fully show up for this one wild and precious life. Tonight, I am about to bring on my friend Kendra. She is one of the most impressive humans that I know, and I'm going to just kind of give you a background of who she is. She got her undergrad in communications at NYU. She minored in Mandarin Chinese. She got her MBA at Hult International Business School with a focus on entrepreneurship. She speaks 4 languages. 4. Has traveled the world, over 60 countries, and lived in 3 continents. Lived as an expat. Really got to know 3 different cultures. And since then, she's built luxury brands and taking care of runway shows and event planning, and just so solid. And currently she's expanding from fashion to sport. Get this, my friend Kendra is now working with the agency that runs the biggest sponsor for sport there is. And I'm going to let her share that. It's pretty impressive. Her story, and she's pretty impressive, and the way we met is fairly entertaining, and I look forward to talking about it. So here we go. Drum roll, please. Kendra Larkin.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Thanks for helping me. Where are you? Where are you coming in from?
I am coming in from my dad's office, hence all of the exciting hats and single lamp. But I'm down here in Southern California. I'm coming from home, which is really nice. I'm not always at home, so it's nice to be here. I know they want me to be here forever, but I'm in Southern California, usually in San Francisco.
Okay, cool. And just tell me a little bit about your day. You are technically still supposed to be working. So what's today look like?
Yes, 13 more minutes. I'm still on the clock. Today was big. I mean, like you said, this week, the last month, the last 4 months, the last 400 years, I don't know. It's been pretty emotional and exhausting for a lot of us. Today felt better for me. For those of us that are in kind of a 9-to-5 working with big corporate companies, I've been pushing a lot of conversations and having really hard conversations with people that are well above me in terms of the corporate food chain. So I have been pushing forward and, demanding action in a time of inaction and neutrality. So
is there an opening?
I got some good news.
Yeah, tell us. Is there opening where there wasn't before?
Yes. I'm proud to work for, I work for Endeavor, for anybody who knows sports and entertainment. We pretty much run the gambit on everything every piece of content you consume on earth would probably come through somebody close to Endeavor. So our company is
any
very,
content or sport? No, any content.
oh, I'm talking everything from Oprah all the way to the NFL. Like our company kind of touches anything in the sports and entertainment world.
And for this audience, that also includes the Olympics, the NHL. I don't know. Have you heard of any other sporting groups?
Well, I'm really big into sports ball, so yes.
It's so ironic because you're such a fashionista, which is one of my favorite parts about you. And then here you are, look, running sort of the other side of the coin, and lucky them to have you in that.
It's good to be in a field that I would never have seen myself in. But I think that's what makes our company so great is we're always looking for diverse opinions. And I think having somebody from a fashion and arts background really helps anyone from the sports background be able to view things in a different light. And, it's about challenging people from what they're used to doing. So I love being able to give that input to our teams.
Well, that's so cool to know. And it sort of proves what we're all trying to say is that more diverse groups are more successful. And sounds like this one is like in charge of everything. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I feel like I need to say too, like, also for this audience, this week has been really, painful. And I don't mean to make it about me, but I think it's good to say and Kendra knows this because we had this talk. I've really been looking at ways that, how can I be part of this change? And one of the coolest things that has come out of it is I've made new friends. I've found new role models to look to. I have donated to charities I never knew about. And the other thing was I thought to call my friend Kendra, and I also owed her an apology. Like, why haven't I called you recently? And, but the cool thing is I'm just really excited that this weird time has brought, more connections, and grateful for that. So again, let's talk about, should we talk about how we met, or should we talk about skiing?
I mean, everybody likes a good love story, so we should talk about how we met.
Let's do it. You want to go first?
You can tee it up.
Okay. Well, just to add to that last piece, it is my intention to absolutely use any sort of platform that I have to bring you. It sounds cliche now, right? But to listen, So primarily, I want to make sure that we just get to hear from you. And with that, Kendra and I met 5 years ago. In Whistler, on a dance floor. Just kidding. Worse. I mean, I don't know about you, but the way I got there was, hey, do you want an opportunity to go help people overcome their fears in the mountains and be on a show to celebrate this with millions of people? And I was like, heck yeah, I would. And then I got there, and I got to do that like this much out of this much time. It was one of the gnarliest experiences of my life, and it was also something I'm grateful, because I got to spend real time with ones like this, and people that I would have never in my mountain bubble. Could you now give your what you heard and what got you there? I guess, should we just call it what it is?
Call a thing a thing.
Have you ever heard of Bravo? We were on it. What was the show called?
Apre Ski.
Apre Ski. And neither of us have actually talked about it. It was 5 years ago. We were under contract not to talk about it. And so what a fun time to get to catch up and share the good and the bad. So how did you come to it?
Well, hearing your story is super funny because it's very different from how they got me there. Like, just totally different.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Everybody heard
Through
something
a
different.
friend of a friend. You know, I was one of those people who was just sitting in my apartment. Like, I was consulting at the time, so I was just doing my job. And a friend texted me and said, hey, like, I know this girl. She's putting together a casting for a TV show. I think you'd be great for it. I gave her your email. Okay, fine. Cool, whatever.
And you were also like
And
singing at that time too, right? Like you had an album out. So there was reason to be like, okay.
at the time, I was like, cool, I'm working for myself. I'm making music. I have some time in my calendar. Let me see what this could possibly be about. And the phone call with the casting director was just like two friends chatting. I didn't hear a single thing about the show. She and I just talked about my, failed relationships, like with ex-boyfriends. We just got on a page about that and just laughed for days. And then she was just like, you know what? You're really funny. I would love to bring you in. I love the Chinese angle. And she was like, wouldn't it be great if you could help bring Chinese people to the mountain and give them an opportunity to explore winter sports and then help them, find a winter fashion look and work in your fashion side. So I thought I would be working with bringing a new group of people to a mountain and introduce them to a new sport and, new clothing. So I thought, this is great. I get to work in a community that I care about and use a language that means a lot to me and just get to be myself and be funny, and didn't think a thing of it other than that. And it was not that.
I can't believe it. Wow.
Did I get to speak Mandarin once? No. No, not at all.
It was so funny because I had help with the contract. I got a lawyer and he was adamant that like you need to put in there that you will ski. And I'm like, they told me I'm there because I'm a pro skier. And they're like, no, you need to get it in writing that you will ski. And I'm like, why? That's what I'm going to do. And then I was so glad that I got it in writing because it was the only way I got to ski.
Yeah, I didn't have that in writing. I did have a lawyer. I went out and got myself a lawyer and an agent. And I wouldn't have done those things except for a close friend of mine who works in entertainment was like, you need to protect yourself. You do not know what you're getting yourself into. You've never been on TV before and not in this capacity. And he was like, I can promise you, they're going to do what's best for them, no matter what that means for you. So I was protected in a different way in terms of like, making sure that I wouldn't just be edited out of everything or that I would be making no money or that I had no rights to my own IP. So I was protected in that
cool.
stuff.
I was so, as I still am, like naive. Like I remember I had a phone call with all the lawyers and I was like, please, on behalf of women, there are women on this call, that were the lawyers that, please don't add to the narrative of dumb blonde. Like that's not what I'm here to be, and it won't be. And they were like, oh God, we support women. Bravo is a #1 women's network. And I was like, okay, I feel heard. And it was like, whoosh, just like you said, like they're going to do what's best for them. Best what gets ratings. Long story short, should we like break it down for people? Like in general, so the teaser, absolutely, it was a lie, and it was a huge hit, at least to my career, because it wasn't the truth, and it was one of the hardest times in my life. How about you?
I couldn't agree more. Filming it was definitely one of the hardest times of my life. Like physically, my body was rejecting so much of it. And yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the show, my grandmother, who was the closest person in my family outside of my parents, she passed away while we were filming it. So there is this whole other layer of trauma that I'm going through in the middle of this kind of crazy thunderstorm
that's set up
bullshit.
to trigger
Sorry,
you.
I don't know if I can curse here, but
yeah. that was set up to trigger anything that it could, like that was their goal. And so, oh man, you really had it.
They were so smart. And, for anyone who watches reality TV, what you don't see is that there are people behind the scenes who have studied the people that you're watching and know what triggers them, know what scares them, makes them anxious, all of those things. And I hadn't even
and so they play to that.
Oh yeah.
So they're writing things too. They're like writing a script behind the scenes and like just trying to use our words to fit their script, from what I understand now.
I had been asked questions like, what makes you uncomfortable? What scares you? And these are things that I like to ask people just as friends, because I think it's interesting. Like, oh, you're afraid of spiders, well, whatever. But, it was looking for something that was on a deeper level. Like, okay, they know about me that I'm an only child. I'm single. I usually live alone, but I'm always in groups. I love friends. I love people. Like, being around people is where I get my energy from. I think people are the greatest thing on earth. And so they thought, why don't we isolate her? Put her in a space where she's the only one in a different room, which will make other people resent her. She is, if people don't like her, then she's even more isolated. The one thing that she really likes is being out there and having friends and having fun. Take that from her. See what we get. So, you have to do the math and think about what's going on behind the scenes, because if I'm friends with everybody, nobody's going to watch that. Nobody watches Bravo to see 6 best friends come together and have the best day ever. Like, that's just not what reality TV is. So you got to poke the bear. They're looking for the places and ways that they can just go.
But you were so graceful. You held it with such grace. I mean, it's why we're here, because you were so strong, and to the point that I'm learning this week, like another level of strong that I wasn't even I thought I was so conscious, and like, she's just such a badass. Nothing bothers her. She's just, it always just held you in such a, and I'm sorry for people who are watching, like, we'll tell the bigger story, but just so much respect on every level.
Thank you.
So basically what happened was producers of the show, in order to try and get some drama, would literally, like she said, poke anything that they could. And they had a whole script set up that several of the characters fell into, and what I loved about you was that you held that dignity, that like, just dignity, I guess, is the best word. And I still respect you for it. And I wanted to take tonight to talk about like what it took to build that bit of extra that I have seen, like I said, not just anybody has all like 4 languages, and like, you've obviously had to show up bigger and more perfect and more dialed forever. And so what do you attribute that to? And start there.
I attribute that to 2 things, really. 1, being Black. 2, my family. For anybody watching, whether you've heard this or not, or it's news to you, but in the Black community, we are always taught and trained to be smarter, to be faster, to be stronger, to be more resilient. These are the things that we need to be in order to even be on the basic level of, not even accepted isn't the word I want, but the basic level, like our best and brightest have to be the best and brightest to even compete with the lowest of anybody else in terms of education qualifications, all of the other things. So I come from a family that places education as the number 1 priority. It's like family, education, and then whatever else you want to do in your life, go for it. So I have always been raised in this family to, show up, give it everything 100% all the time, be as honest and authentic as I can be, and never let the dark stuff seep in and take over you, because, you have to be responsible for your own well-being. Most of the time, people aren't going to be there to help you and build you up. So I come from a family that just says, you got to be resilient. things are going to happen to you in this world that you do not want, that you do not like, that you do not deserve. But it's not about how hard you get knocked down. It's about how many times you pick yourself back up. And my mom's been saying that to me my whole life. So, you know, I can get knocked down a million times, but I always have to get right back up, dust off my little dress, and go, okay, we're going to do this again. And I'm still going to smile because that's what the world needs. I got to hold some space for other people who may not have the same privileges that I have, who may not have, you know, seen anyone like me, met anybody like me, conversed with somebody like me. So it's like, all right, I gotta hold this space. It's a big old space. I gotta put as much positive energy as I can out there in the world, even when things are absolutely horrible. And then again, any person of color, any Black person knows, like, you speak for your whole race the day you're born, and you don't even ask for that. That's literally not my responsibility, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what happened on the show. And again, I forgot that because I've never been on TV before, but the reality is that, like, the second that camera's on, I now represent all Black women. Like, assumptions are now being shown to the world that people can make off of any little thing that I say or do that could be wrong, or, you know, whatever else you want to call it. And that's a big responsibility that I didn't take lightly. And I just never wanted to be another horrible, misunderstood and misinterpreted definition of a Black woman. I cannot, this angry Black female thing, I hate it. I hate it. It's unfair that, like, you know, if you want to be passionate about something as a Black female, that you're automatically thrown in this super negative category. But, you know, somebody else stands up and says, I don't like the way this is going, and you're like, wow, look at that strength. Women doing it. And you're just like, wait a minute, I said the same thing. So I was always being conscious that, like, you know, they want you to throw a glass of champagne in someone's face. They do. And although that may not be saying anything about women, you know that that's going to be someone somewhere is sitting there being like, see?
Yeah, I can relate as the, you know, not wanting to be the cliche blonde, right? And still, they still put you into those roles. And at the same time, we signed up for this, you know, like, we signed up for a reason because we could hold it down. And I'm really proud of how we did. And honestly, my most, I'm not gonna say proud moment, but literally the highlight for me was watching you ski and watching you go from terrified and I can't do this and no, to like, talk to me. And like, shoes, let's talk about shoes. So can we first, let's just give for people that have no idea what we're talking about, would you just like give an overview of the show and like what they did, and people can go and look if they really want to. And then I want to talk about skiing.
Yeah.
So we were both brought to Whistler. It was was it 8 weeks? 10 weeks?
It was more than that. It was like 10, 11 weeks. It was almost 3 months.
For me, it was an opportunity to get out of my bubble. I got to meet different people. I said that already, and like get paid to have fun, because I was so used to putting my life on the line every week, and the PTSD just from that was like, I needed a break. It was so, in some ways, it was so fun. You know, like, we got this massive mansion. There were 6 of us lived in one house, and then one of us was separated. Is that only one or 2 were separated in different places? I don't know if that was strategic, or I think they might have just not had enough rooms, and they were super unorganized as a company. Like, they never made another show because they spent so much money on this one and it failed.
They tried to make a remake and that failed too.
Right. So, you know, in some ways it was like we got really nice food all the time, and had this sweet place to live for a while. And being in Whistler for that long is pretty fun. So that's the upside too. And at the same time, they were filming this thing that all of us were pretty naive around, and it got really weird and heavy and bad. And at the same time, it's still fun. I still think it was more positive than negative. I wouldn't take it back for a second.
No. How many times we go through things like this in your life, you know, in my life, in our lives, where it's when you're going through it, you're like, this is a nightmare. And then you get out of it and you look back and you're like, those were some of the best memories of my life.
Well, they're so weird, right? I mean, for just a life experience, like I'm grateful for that. So yeah, we can. So again, back to so we're like pretty far along. Would you say like at least like 6 or 8 weeks in, and it's springtime, and we really haven't gotten to ski that much. And Kendra's like, I'm going skiing. Remember? Do you want to talk about like we're almost to the end, and so talk about like and also where'd you come from? You know, what's your story? You know, to get here, where did you grow up? And I know that you had skied like 1 or 2 times as a kid. So give us a little bit of background there too.
Yeah. So, you know, most of the people on the show were Canadian from the Whistler area. So everybody could ski all, you know, pretty naturally. Yet none of us were skiing. I think we were all you're caught up in this bubble that's just really frenetic, and you're in the energy, and you're pissed and you're happy and you're going through these emotions, and you know, tensions are high, and you're drinking more than you normally would. Like, it's just levels of crazy energy and
an intense schedule. We were like, you have to be at the bar from like 9 till 11 this night, and then you have to get up at 7 and put your microphone on, and you're going to do this thing. So we were pretty scheduled too.
And like, just a quick aside, I don't know why, but I might be one of the only people on earth who has an allergic reaction to those mic packs. So my whole back was a giant rash for the whole show. They had to like put tape on my body to even tape it to my body.
You were really having your body was like, get me out of here. It just shows.
Girl,
just
I was
even
going
more.
through it.
Oh, I know, but now I'm learning even more. You never told me about that. So yeah.
No, nobody really knew. It hurt.
I bet.
But yeah, like, you know, you're going through all of it, and I'm thinking like, weren't we supposed to be skiing or like doing something? Instead, we're just fighting all of the time. And you know, I at first was having a hard time in the house, so I was trying to make friends with locals and be like, please take me somewhere, like just anywhere. I want to make friends. I want to ski. And then eventually, you know, after my grandma passed away and I got to leave the show and go bury my grandmother and lay her to rest, being around my family, it's kind of like a slap upside the head, where I was like, oh, wow, wait. Okay, so the world isn't like this crazy trash fire. Everything is fine. I'm still an amazing human being. Not everyone on earth hates me. Cool. Like, I'm okay now. I can go back to the show renewed. I felt so filled up by my family that when I came back, I was like, I'm going skiing. That's it. I'm going skiing. We're going.
Would you mind backing up? You felt like people hated you?
Yeah, they did. Not like people in town. I had some lovely friends in Whistler who I cannot thank enough for like really taking me in and taking good care of me. But I mean, you know the show, and for anybody watching, like there was a lot of, you know, accusations of racism, and there was a lot of racial tension within the house. And you know, I was the only person in the house that was not white. So you know, there's all of this swirling, and you know, people playing into these characters that they thought, you know, if I'm the most extreme version of XYZ, we're going to get better ratings. So I'm going to say what I have to say.
Or somebody thinks they're going to get screen time, so they start bringing up stuff that they wouldn't even if there were no cameras. That was so creepy.
Or people wanting spin-offs.
Right. I'm getting my own show out of this, so I'm going to be super. Wow, that was when things got scary. Yeah.
100%.
Should we call it out, or basically someone in the house started, like you could feel it, like felt like, oh, I know how to spin this by digging more stuff up, and that. So I guess we won't say names. What else? So there you are.
Yeah.
You had just come home from grandma and getting grounded with your family. Yeah.
I came home from getting grounded with my family, which I definitely needed. I think I was on a breaking point, like the day I found out she passed away, and was like, I'm in this house with these people. Who are these people?
Yeah.
Some people in the house really had my back. Obviously, like, you were a big help. There was another person who was a big help through this. My agent was a huge help in getting me out of there, but I came back and was like, I'm going skiing. Like, this is crazy, and we're doing this. And for everybody who doesn't know my background, because how could you, right? I grew up skiing with my mom. And by with my mom, I mean my mom would take me there, put me on the kiddie slopes, and go have a glass of wine, hang out, and not touch the slopes. My mom is accident prone.
And where was this?
This is in Big Bear.
Okay.
Yeah, so Big Bear is like a couple hours max from where we live. So we did this all the time when I was a kid. I was a good skier as a child. However, I had not put on a pair of skis since I was, oh my God, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 at best. So
what do you remember as a child skiing? Like, what was skiing to you?
It's funny because when I think about skiing as a kid, I was always like, my mom would take me, but she wasn't really taking me like with other people as like, we're doing this as a group. It's so fun. My mom was just like, this is a skill that I think she should know. You never know when this will come in handy in life.
Of course.
I want her to be in a diverse environment and be able to, you know, no matter what group of people she's in, I want her to be able to stand up tall and say, I can do this too. Which has my mom written all over it.
Do you think that helped get you on the show? Like, be chosen, like having that?
Nah, I think they wanted me to not ski because I was so different from everyone in the house. You know, there was, I think Elise didn't know how to ski either. Elise is just another character on the show for everybody else watching, but everybody else was just like such a good skier. And I wasn't the best skier, but I was capable. I had been on the mountain. It'd just been a long time. So in my head, I was like, I could do this, right? It just,
I loved
put the feet into the shoes and just go. I'll be good.
I remember this day, and it was like that. Yeah, I totally got this. And then you're like, we're going to the top. I'm going to the top. Do you remember that? Like, where did that come from?
This is so who I am. This is like me to a T. I go all in. If I decide I'm doing something, I'm 110% in. Like, you can't stop me. I am finishing what I start always. And, you know, call it what you want, but it's a character trait. So yeah, once I put on the skis, I was like, I am so confident. Like, I totally got this. I think I had already completely totaled myself by then and like rolled down the mountain with all the cameras watching. So I was just kind of like,
oh, earlier that day?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got that on film. It is pretty embarrassing. I don't think it made the cut of the show. I don't know how I was so blessed, but I seem to not have, I don't think I've seen the footage of me rolling down the mountain with my skis flying everywhere and my poles flying everywhere.
Did you have you had a lesson that day earlier, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Just a refresher so that I wouldn't break a bone.
And did you feel it come back like since you had been 14? Or was it like?
Yes. It came back to me pretty naturally, but at the same time, the memory of like pizza, French fry, like that's all my brain could put together.
That's all that matters.
Pizza and French fry, baby. I got this.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Like, as an adult, I realized that the adult body, pizza and French fry, like that and my ankles don't agree. That hurt a lot. So I needed people like you to get me out of pizza French fry and into, I mean, obviously not in your level professional, but like get me into a place where I can get down the mountain without two swollen ankles.
Totally. And but it was also so graceful and beautiful as you are. Like you just can't not be. So, but tell me a little bit more about what you remember as a kid at Big Bear. Like what you said, were you thrown in with like other kids, or like how did you just go out there? Like, cause mom was like kicking back, having cocktails with her friends, or what?
Mom's having cocktails and s'mores by herself.
Okay.
Like, again, we didn't go up with people to my memory. I just always remember her by herself, just enjoying the calm and the quiet. She likes to look out over mountainscapes. So her just sitting there with her little hot cocoa or her drink, just being like, I'm in heaven. Okay. And sending me off because I was very independent as a child. So I didn't mind. I wasn't like, where are my friends? I was more like, can I fit on this chairlift with you? Like, hello, random person, want to be friends? So I was always with strangers. The line, if you're one person, the line is always shorter. You can just kind of weasel your way into any chairlift. So I was always doing that and just kind of making friends and skiing down the mountain with them or by myself.
And did you get any coaching or or did you just figure it out on your own?
I wish I could say I just naturally sorted that out, but I got lessons. My mom put me in lessons like day one. She was like, lessons, cool. And if she were in this room right now, she's somewhere upstairs, but her favorite story about me skiing, because apparently everybody's got one. Her favorite story is that we had an instructor, and it was like the first time I had skied, and I was doing well on the bunny slopes. And then I decided I was ready to graduate and move up to the next level. No more bunny slopes. I'm confident I had this. And apparently he took me up to the top of the mountain where I shouldn't have been. And it was, when like the mountains are closing, everyone's got to get off the mountain, mountain's done for the day. Apparently I wasn't at the level to get down fast enough. So once again, here I am at the top of the mountain, not in the skill set that I needed to be at where I was. And my mom went into a full... History always repeats itself. Like, you guys, I swear, it'll probably happen again to me. And my mom says she was in a panic. Her little baby hadn't come down the mountain yet. So she's sending people up to find me and save me in true mom fashion. And then she says her heart dropped when she saw me coming down the mountain in my little skis. She's like, you made it to the end and then you just fell on your face.
And that's literally what happened to you 20 years later. 10, 15, 20.
You can't make this stuff up. It's too funny.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm glad I asked that question because that I didn't know.
Yeah. It's one of her favorite stories.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So back to the show, you come back from being at home and you're like, I'm going skiing, and you show up. Like, what did you wear? I can't remember. Do you remember?
Cool.
I just remember
they brought me clothes.
Okay.
I didn't have any. They were just like, we have your measurements. We know everything. So they gave me a full outfit.
Cool. And then she's like, yep, I'm going to the top. And so we're like, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to the top? And she's like, I'm going to the top. We're like, all right, we're going to the top. And it just gets like windier and gnarlier and rockier as we're like climbing up the chairlift. What was going through your mind?
The only thing that was going through my mind is, this is going to be awesome. And I'm having so much fun. This is going to be great. But what changed the second that I looked down, like when we got off the lift, and now I'm like looking.
You don't remember the name of the lift, right? I don't remember. So basically, if you're a whistler, it's the one that goes to the top. And the only way down is it's steep or moguls, like super steep.
It's like this.
It's very, very steep at the top, and there's no way around it. And it is 3:30 in the afternoon. The mountain's about to close, and Kendra looks over this side, and she's like, No, like, which is what your body does. They call it getting gripped. Like your body, it like has a sensory where it's like, nope, not happening. I've been there before. It's one of the scariest experiences ever. You just locked up and you can't move. And it was like, okay.
It's horrifying.
And it was horrifying, you know, to feel you're horrified that you were horrified too. And
I had no business being there.
And you're still here. So guess you did. And we have an amazing story. So we start to like inch our way. And like she said, she's got like her pizza going and then she's solid on the pizza. But when it's so steep, it doesn't work. And it's at the end of the day. So that it's springtime and it's icy because it's been scraped off all day by people. And we're just locked up. And then there was it was like ultimate fear, right? As scared as you can be. And then something shifted. And could you just talk about what was going on for you? And then I can share from my side.
For me, you know, for anybody who has tried to ski above their level and realizing at some point, like, oh no, I actually have to get down the mountain. Like this is not a game. No one's going to come save me. And I can't just roll my way down either, which, you know, did cross my mind. Like maybe I could just roll.
No, we thought about it. We thought about taking your skis off. And it was one of those situations where it's slide for life conditions. So anybody who knows what that means, it's so icy and so steep that if you get out of your skis, you could really hurt yourself because you can't stop. So that's like, just to lay it out there, is like serious. And you know,
it's scary.
Yeah. Now you know what
it's like. Really scary.
But then also, you also have something now that no one can take away from you, and that's my favorite part about this story. So, yeah. So, take us through.
So I'm realizing I can't get down the mountain. I can't take my shoes off. I can't walk. Thankfully, I have Lynsey with me, someone who could actually coach me and get me down the mountain. I think, you know, that's, of all the many blessings I've received, it's like everyone is put in your life at the right time. And to have someone who's actually taught young children how to ski, helped people who are not familiar or comfortable on skis get through these scary times. Having you there, I mean, I don't know how I would have gotten down without you.
And for me, it was like, I finally have a purpose. Like, this is what I came here to do. That's what they told me I would be doing. And so that's why it's such a gift for me to get to finally like really hold space for someone and help them experience this thing that I know is scary. And it's also one of the most special things in the world that if I could share it, like, wouldn't that be so rad? So yes, I'm like holding your edges so that you don't fall. And then you took this deep breath, and you're freaking out. And then somewhere you dug deep somewhere. And then all of a sudden, like, something shifted, and it was like, shoes. Let's talk about shoes.
Oh my God, shoes.
Kendra loves shoes. And what we figured out is if she started thinking about shoes, talk about,
I would calm down.
She would calm down. She like relaxed. And all of a sudden it was like you came back into your body. It was like that grippedness like went away. So can you describe that?
I feel like when things are really scary, sometimes, you know, you're outside of your body looking down, being like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And for me, as crazy as this may sound to anybody, but like, I straight up love shoes. And again, I was talking to my mother about this a couple nights ago when I knew that you and I were going to speak, because my grandmother was the biggest shoe owner on earth. And you can fight me about it later, anybody watching, but this woman lined her house in shoes. She and I were, when I say that she was like the closest person in my family, is that we would just always talk about shoes. We would go buy shoes. We would think about shoes. Shoes and I and my grandma, like the three of us had this thing. And it's no surprise to me now, and I didn't even consider it back then, but you know, when I'm thinking about shoes, there's something in my subconscious that is tapped into my grandmother and my childhood. And again, being 2 weeks out of losing my grandmother or whatever the time frame was, to be in such a state of, cat on a fence, scared, and to just think about the one thing that would calm me down is to be like, shoes. And the way I got down this mountain, as silly as it sounds, was I was speaking out loud about the perfect shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I was designing the perfect shoe
Mm-hmm.
out loud on the spot. And because my head was there and I was thinking of, okay, well, we got to start with fabrics. What ethical source fabrics can we think about? But also heel is very important. And like, what's going to hurt my ankle? What isn't? Like, I'm going, from someone who's worked in fashion and understands the production of a shoe, I went right into that space and dreamt out my dream shoe. And when I had kind of checked back into reality, I was down the scariest mountain I have ever skied down in my life. And I don't even remember doing it, quite honestly.
It was literally like 2 miles of skiing because we were getting from the top to the base of Whistler, which is huge. And yeah, magic. Like that's your magic. And that so many women or anyone hopefully could use that technique to tap into your deepest love, right? To help get you through whatever the situation is. Yeah.
I think it's just like taking your mind out of the fear and putting it into something you love. That just, love eats at fear always. I mean, we're seeing the result of that right now in the present world. Love always trumps hate, right? That's the saying. And it's like my love of shoes got me through my like complete fear of breaking all of my bones down this mountain or being trapped up here forever. So it's not shoes for everybody,
right?
It's shoes for me. And when you find yourself in a paralyzing moment of fear, not all but some of those moments, I hope people can take from this that find what you love, speak about it out loud, say something, focus your mind around something that you love, because that'll take you out of the I can't do this mode. Because you can. I'm living proof. You can do it.
Yeah. And I love what you brought up about, love always trumps hate. They always say the darkness is only the absence of light. So when you come into a dark room and you turn on the light, is just the absence of the light. So if we can start looking at that, and that's always really helped me, that one. Let's talk about what is the perfect role model to you? And then also any, like, who are you looking up to right now? Are there, who could we follow that we, now that we're considering like just opening up in ways we never imagined, who are some role models? Who's getting you excited these days? What kind of music you're listening to, all that?
Well, let's start with the perfect role model. So I do want to make one thing super clear, and I think it comes from our time on the show. I don't know about you, but I felt an insurmountable pressure to be the perfect role model for young women, young Black women, young women of color, all these things. It's like,
and what did it mean to be perfect?
So oh yeah. And I don't know about you, but battling being a perfectionist is like, that's my fight forever. Like,
so what did you
even
have
before
to
we
be?
got on this call?
Yeah.
Well, instead of being a role model and freaking out, which I think I spent a lot of time on the show just in my head about that. But for me, it wasn't until after the show when I realized, one, I don't control the edit. They're going to edit this however they want and splice scenes however they want. It doesn't matter how well I held myself or XYZ to be the perfect role model. Honey, I have no voice in the writers, in the editing room, in post-production. Like, I'm cut out of this. So they're going to make it what they want to make it. And for me, after the show, and you got to deal with the internet after the show, The internet's a scary place. There's a lot of people on the internet who are just projecting so much hate and anger and fear and pain and all of these things. And not to say that there aren't great people on the internet. We see them every day too. And being on a show, you get both at such extreme volumes, more than I ever expected. And sometimes it's like you just focus on the really mean ones, even though there's like 70 people being like, you're amazing. There's like 3 who are like, you're trash. And you're like, oh my God, no, I'm not. I'm great. Like, no. So it wasn't until after the show that I realized being the perfect role model is quite literally not possible. Being a role model also isn't possible. Being yourself is the only thing that I can do and that anyone can do. And if people can find something in that mirrors who they want to be or who they are, then that's the best. That's the best that we can give each other. And I think that was a big lesson for me to learn in terms of like, who are my role models? Because as a kid, I didn't have any. When I was a kid, I think my mom likes the story that I told my teacher that I was my own role model. Because
that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't changed much.
And I love that because you held yourself to a standard that, yes, you're a perfectionist, and also look what it pushed you to. Like, you are a role model. Stuff. But also, like, how could you just explain like how perfect you felt like you had to be? Like, did you have to have 4 languages? Did you have to have all these like things behind your last name? You know what I mean? Like, I know I've felt that, don't upset anyone, be grateful only, never get triggered or angry. You just always so could you just share more of the ways that you felt like you had to be perfect? Because it's true. I never saw your nails not perfect. I never saw your hair or your makeup not done, so those are just the ways I could see.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I can only handle a few. I haven't changed much.
I mean, I don't either. But yeah, I think, again, in life, it always circles back. Like, if I am always the best version of myself and I'm the representation of my race and ethnicity, like, I want that to be good. I want people to feel good, accept Black people, love Black people, join us. So you get all of that without even thinking it. It's not like people, my parents are very much so like, we love you as you are, you're already great. But society really kind of just layers it on, and we choose to accept certain things. And that was always a choice for me to just go, okay, like, I grew up in a very white neighborhood, and when I was a kid, it's like I didn't really have other Black friends because they just weren't in my neighborhood. So, you have that model minority myth that I think a lot of people from Asian descent backgrounds really kind of talk about this a lot, this model minority myth of like being perfect because, we're not here to cause any trouble. We're just really like nice and friendly and there's no problems, really smart. So that just kind of gets perpetuated throughout time and different races all across the world.
Could you share that background? Because I don't think we've heard, the full background.
Yeah. So model minority myth for anybody watching, not to speak for the Asian experience at all, but the whole concept is just, for people who come to this country, instead of making waves and causing any ruffle, you want to be the smartest, you want to be the nicest, you want to be neutral, you don't want to cause any trouble so that no attention gets brought onto you, your family, your people. And you can just continue to like ease on through your life happily, safely, all of these things. So there's this model minority, like, when people go, well, why can't they be like, this group of Asian people? They're all really smart and, they're all doctors or things like that are extremely harmful to the Asian community and very unfair and adds this other layer of crazy pressure. So, there is that within every ethnicity and every race, there is that model minority myth that seeps in.
Wow.
And it's painful. It's hard. It's divisive.
That is such the word of the week. The word of the week's divisive.
And that divides us from within as well.
From within. I love that you said that, because as much as we're seeing all this conflict on the outside, it is also happening within. There are injustices that we have put ourselves through by not showing up fully as who we really are, because it's not safe to, or because of these agreements that we've made without even knowing it, that our culture passed down and we just accept it. And we're going to be the change, though. We are. Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the big things that came out of the show for me, not to kind of take it back there, but like that perfection, model minority myth, all of that. Like I didn't know how much that was layered somewhere within my subconscious.
Yeah.
I thought I had done the spiritual work, the therapy, the work that it takes to get there. Yeah. And there's just this one thing that I didn't even know about that was somewhere in there that the show really brought out of me and showed me and held a mirror up to me. And I had to really unpack that and rebuild in a different way to go, wow, okay, why does that exist within me? Why do I think these things about myself? And, if I want to show up differently for myself, consciously, that's going to make the shift and the change, understanding that, like, I'm not perfect. If you don't like me, that's totally cool. It's totally cool. You don't have to. And like, we all don't have to be this absolutely perfect, flawless, everything in its right place all the time person.
And I think you said imperfect, liked. I think that's such a big one, is liked. How liked can you be versus liking who you are? Because you're never going to please everyone if you're actually really true to yourself. So that's a big one coming up these days.
Of course. A lot of people have issues, or not, I don't want to say issues, but like, liking yourself, because you can love yourself, right? I love myself. And sometimes, you just don't like yourself. And I think that those times that you're like, I really don't like who I'm showing up as, it's like, that's a great time. That's a great opportunity to look within and go, okay, what don't I like? Why am I doing these things? How important is this to me, right? Like, is this something that I want to shift and change? Or is this something that I just, whatever, it is what it is? And like, I just think overall, owning your imperfections and standing beside yourself and owning your mistakes and just saying, this is not the best version of me. I've been better.
Wow.
I think that's okay. And we need to do that. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not be the perfect version of yourself all the time. And that's a big, constant learning. Especially for women. We've been trying to be perfect since we were born. And I think it is in forgiving that we're finally going to maybe rise to where we're supposed to in this lifetime. Amazing. Accepting people for their imperfections is huge. Accepting yourself for those are even bigger. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is legit. So what's next for you? A lot, it's me. So, I'm always doing the most. I think that's just in my DNA. I like to do stuff. I have a lot of dreams and I want to accomplish all of them. And I'm a person of urgency because you don't know how much time you have on this earth. So I do a lot because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. If it were up to me, I would live for 8 billion years and I would have, I'd get to see the world change. But what's next for me? Maybe you have, Kendra. Maybe you have. Something tells me. Believe me, I'm 9 billion years old. Something tells me. It's my dream. We all have dreams, okay? Mine's to be a robot in the year 8 billion 9. But on a serious note, what's next for me? A few things. I am currently writing a book. Yeah, I'm writing a book. I am very excited to be writing this. It's it's a lot of personal essays and just observations from a life of a lot of stories and a lot of interesting encounters. So right now I'm working on that.
Is it a autobiography or is it a like okay.
Yeah. These are my personal stories that I have not shared with many people. You know, I'm writing things that I'm like, you swore you'd never tell anyone this. What are you doing? And I'm like, no, it's okay. This is the point, is to open up so that others can also open up. Like that's the good of the world.
Yeah. I'm so glad. I am so glad that you're writing that, because it's true. You have some stories that literally like no one would have, and the combinations and yep, she's a unicorn, folks. I can't wait to read it. So, do you have a title or anything yet, or like a?
No, I have some working titles, some ideas, but nothing landed on quite yet. I'm in the editing process right now. So kind of reading everything back, trying to refine this and figuring out how the hell you write a book when you've never written a book before. And it's not like
a lot of people wonder that.
And I'm happy to share my learnings. When it's done and all said and done, I will tell everybody how I did it, because it's definitely something I've never done. I wrote a book as a child. It got circulated to my family members, and that was it. So this will be the first time, hopefully, more than just my mom and dad read it.
Yeah, we'll make sure they do. Oh, I just had a question. Shoot, did I lose it? It'll come back to me. I guess, could you speak to like what it's like to, here it is. I'm an athlete, right? Like we sort of live to do our sport. And also you dream about having the biggest sponsors possible. And right now you are running I'm just going to say, like, the biggest sponsor in sports and outdoor sports, which is working with on behalf of the agency that works with Visa, that gets to decide like how you promote athletes and who gets promoted and what you're looking at. Could you just share what your side of this whole thing looks like? Because for us, It's like, I got to be the best and my skiing will speak for itself. And so we're training and we're motivated. And yeah, share how you're looking at it from the marketing side, and also from like your background and what other people, I'm so curious what that world looks like.
Yeah, it's very cool to be on this side. We have a whole team that just works with athletes, and I get to hear what the athletes are doing or how they're feeling about things. And then I get to kind of relay that information. Well, like what athletes? Well, there are some Olympians that I don't really get to work with, but we were working with, oh my God. Oh, of course, my brain escapes me.
That'd be like me talking about someone from the fashion world. Like, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm gonna find some people, because we do US ski and snowboard tournaments, and my job is to make sure that we are able to build out VIP lounges. We want to make sure that athletes, like anyone who's a Team Visa athlete, spends one-on-one time with any of Visa's people, Visa's card holders. Like, for example, like Michaela Schifrin is one of our Team Visa athletes, and she's a huge leader in the sport, and it's our responsibility to make sure that her message is clear and that she can lead that message, and that she can have these important one-on-one conversations with people that have gotten the opportunity to be there through Visa's partnership with US Ski and Snowboard. So a lot of different athletes, we work with them in that capacity, whether it's, for the NFL, giving kids game day opportunities where they get to go bang on the lockers and let the athletes know that the game's about to begin, or they get to be a part of a coin toss or something that really, means a lot to fans and means a lot to kids who look up to these athletes in so many different sports. For me, my job is to always kind of look at which athletes that we're putting forward and figure out, are these going to align best with Visa's clients? And for that, we look for leaders. I'm always looking for someone who stands out, not only to the team that lives and breathes and sweats and bleeds sports, but to me, because we're looking for people who can have an expansive range, not only of emotion, but work in the community, of what, is their message clear, or are they just, they're just doing the sport to do the sport? That's amazing too. Like, we need people who love the sport, because that comes across. And we also love if there's something that they really care about, that they're outspoken about, or they've been vocal about something that is deemed controversial. Like, our work with Megan Rapinoe, for some, is deemed controversial. When I'm looking at Megan Rapinoe, like, excuse me, you are amazing. You speak your mind. You are your authentic self every time you show up, and you're an incredible athlete. So
do you think, though, that
everyone
everyone get away with that? Like, in your line of work, could you show up and say everything you want to say and be rewarded for it? I feel like athletes have this like sort of like power that they can get away with a lot, which is interesting. Or they can say the thing that no one else can say because why? Like, why is it that Megan can say that and it matters? But if she was in the office and she said that, like, would she have a job?
Here's the weird part. I don't like this word, but I think it's because athletes are irreplaceable. And, not to make anyone feel a certain way about showing up to your job, but a job is a job. They can fire you tomorrow and replace you. Someone will be able to learn what you do. They may not be able to replace how great you are, how insightful you are, how creative you are, your aura, your energy, but they can replace you, and someone can sit behind the computer and do your job, for sure. There's always going to be competition, but with sports, and this is just my belief, with sports, you have people who have devoted their entire life to only one thing, and they're really, really, really good at that one thing, and no one, except for people on their level, can really challenge them and beat them at it. So they can walk out there and say, this is what I want to do, this is how I feel, and people are going to be like, I don't agree with this, or I don't like it. They may not get as many sponsors. They may lose a couple fans, but at the end of the day, they're still at the peak of their game. They're still incredible at what they do. And people just go, I may not agree with you, but damn, thanks for winning that championship for my city. Thanks for making my hometown have pride. Like, people bleed sports. Nobody bleeds marketing or, administrative work. Like, sadly, that's what I believe what makes an athlete have that power.
Interesting, because I would say athletes are also replaceable, so it's an interesting perspective. Yeah.
Athletes make people feel like, I know you know what it's like. I mean, you're an athlete, right? When I go to some of these sporting events and I'm there fully spectator, I'm like, this is fun. And I really just want to have a beer and I'm having a great time. And I hope everybody wins because I'm so glad we all showed up today. And my whole office is like, boo, stop being that way. I'm like, eh. But sports fans bleed their team's colors. If you are a fan of an athlete, you are like screaming in the stadiums, you are crying when they lose, you are affected. Like, people put their hearts into this, and it's crazy. This out of body, if your team loses, if your athlete doesn't win the gold medal, it's like people feel like they personally lost. And it's something that's happened since the dawn of sports, which I find so fascinating. And again, this is why I think athletes have that power, because it's this extension of self through the audience, through the fans who are just going, you know what, I have faith. We didn't win this time. We're going to do it again next time. I believe in this. I'm strong. I have a huge community of people willing to sit in parking lots for hours in the hot sun, screaming, sitting in freezing cold temperatures, just standing there to watch someone ski across the finish line. It's
Commitment.
powerful.
Yeah, totally. Can we talk a little bit about nails?
Yes, always, please. Thank you.
So one of the things, and I'll let you go, in a few minutes. So one thing that I loved about you is that Kendra always, was it like every 10 days, would go and get her nails, like not just done, but like these are true works of art every time. And it took real commitment. It took so much time. I was like, that's the only time that we would get on the show. I would go for runs and like get my nature time, and you would use it for this thing that is your passion. And they're so beautiful every time and different. Would you just share that side of art? What it sort of is for you?
Yeah, I mean, I love art. I love that we as people have this chameleon ability within ourselves to wake up and be one person and the next day be a different person, or halfway through that day change a look. Like there's so much
expression.
Yeah, there's so much fun in self-expression. It's play. It's what kids do, you know what I mean? Like playing dress up or pretending you're a knight in shining armor. And to me,
Right.
that's what
Makes life fun.
fashion, nails, hair, all of that is just another form of, play and being in touch with your inner child. And for me, I can't really draw yet. Maybe one day I will, but at this present point in time, my drawing skills are at a 0. And I love art. I could spend a day in the museum looking at different paintings, different drawings, photography. I love it. It breathes new energy into me. So nails, that's my way of taking art from the page and putting it on my hands, and I get to change it so I get access to a number of works of art. I get to change my clothes every day. I change my hair every couple of months. Like these are my fun things, but my nails are when I can really kind of go all out. Right? I'm not going to dye my whole head purple every 2 weeks, but I can change my nails every 2 weeks and do something super crazy. So I've had incredible nail artists. Like this is no manicurist. This is a nail artist.
Legit. Yeah.
Respect the craft.
Yeah.
And my nail artist in Los Angeles, her name is Belle Townsend, at So Hot Right Nail on Instagram. If anybody cares, she's hilarious.
and I want to post more of them so that people can see, because it's another thing that you don't really necessarily think about. And I hadn't until I saw, like you said, this is a craft. This is a
craft. It's work.
And it's really inspiring and beautiful. And it's not stuck in a gallery. It's on you, and it's not permanent, which is just fun. And it's just beautiful, like so feminine. I definitely been such a jock my whole life. Like I love that you brought out and brought it every day, because it's work.
It's work, but it's fun work. Mm-hmm. And like when I know I have a nail appointment coming up, it's like the most exciting part of the week, because I'm like, ooh, cool. Time to like peruse some art blogs, and time to, what movies am I watching? What music am I listening to? What do those album covers look like? What colors are inspiring me? You make a mood board.
Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. You really get to kind of like check in with where you are at a certain point in time. And I would just send her a bunch of pictures and be like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm listening to. Wow. I have been feeling like this personally this week. And she would just take it, and she would do like the old school, like put your hand on paper and draw the turkeys like for Thanksgiving. So she'll do one of those, and then she'll just sit there while like my nails are soaking, and she would just start drawing and picking up different colors. And I would just be like, what do you got for me?
Wow.
You do whatever you want. Here's the inspiration. And she would just come up with this amazing stuff. I mean, there are nail artists like that all over the world, and they are doing such great art that people don't really get to see because it's so personal. But when you see it, it's such a great way to discuss things like art or what's going on in your life with people. Because once people see it, they're like, oh, what's this and what's that, mine, this and that.
And so, did you feel like when you had those, you stepped up to like a bigger version of yourself, or in some way?
I mean, well, and this is funny because we're in the pandemic. I can't go to a nail salon.
A lot of people,
so
this is a big thing for a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, who's gotten their hair done? Who's like done anything? Like we both got excited to sort of dress up, right? From home.
I have, since I'm with my parents, I have one dress, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put on my one dress. Like, but yeah, it's, we don't really get to do these things right now, and I'm okay with that. Again, this is a part of that post-show healing, like no need to be perfect. That like that's gone. It's fine. So when I show up to my work Zoom calls, my team will tell you I'm literally sitting there in the same blue sweatshirt that I've been in for 4 months.
Oh, really?
And oh yeah, no eyebrows on. Like if I'm really feeling sassy, I'll put on a lip color, but that's like maybe once every 2 weeks. And I just sit there in the same hoodie with my hair sort of up, but also like sort of down because I didn't feel like putting it all up because that just is a lot of effort. Don't care. And I just sit there and I eat in front of them through every call.
I think a lot of people can relate.
Yeah, this is reality. This is who we are. And like, I'm totally okay with who I am. And sometimes I do sit in the same sweatshirt for 2 weeks straight, and my nails are what they are. And like, that's a nice reprieve. And I think it's great to be able to step into myself and still go, I'm so fabulous, as I sit here and eat a whole bag of chips in front of my team with these uneven nails and like my hair half done.
Okay, but what do you miss? Too. What do you miss? Because I'm really starting to miss people. I miss people.
Man, I miss people. Like the idea of going. So I'm a big foodie as well. And
no way.
I love oh yeah. For everyone watching, I love food. There's being able to sit down in a nice restaurant and enjoy service. Talk to someone like a sommelier and let them spill their passion for their craft all over the dinner table. Tell me about the food, the wine list. Like, I just want to sit there and listen. I want to eat and have this like meditative time with good food and good company and talk to friends about everything and nothing. Like,
and share the same space with other people you don't know who are also having that experience.
Oh yeah, talk to a stranger. Ooh, I love it. Like, let me talk to a stranger.
Chit chat. And get dressed up. Yeah.
I get dressed up. I buy these items and they want to be out in the world. They deserve it. Someone put a lot of hard work.
Dying to be used. Yeah.
Someone put a lot of time into sewing every little piece of this dress. These clothes deserve the outside world where they were meant to be. My poor sweet items.
Plans for this outfit.
We had plans, and I'm still shopping. I'm still buying things as if, like, when this is over and they let us all back out of the house, I got a whole new wardrobe. It's a whole new. It's like the next look emerges, and I think that's a fun thing too. Is like when we go back, all bets are off. Like, people are done with this old, tired system that didn't serve anybody. These working, 70 hours, everyone's at the office, can't spend time with their families, with their friends, their loved ones, can't focus on their passions and hobbies, don't even have hobbies. People are done with it. I think that's an old thing that I don't think we're bringing into the future. And I'm not bringing the wardrobe of a past life with me. All right?
Okay. I think a lot of people can relate. I love that you're like consciously manifesting. I think that is what this forced downtime is forcing us to do, is like figure out what we would appreciate so much and what we will appreciate when we get that opportunity again, and who's the person we're going to be when we get to emerge. Awesome. Well, what's the last thing that you wanted to share that you want to make sure that people remember?
Oh my gosh, I feel like this is the rainbow moment on Deezus and Miro where they say, "What's your rainbow?"
Sure.
My lasting thing, I guess I just want to say, embody love, whether that's internal, external. I think it's very important for us all, especially right now, to think about how we can be more loving to ourselves and to everyone else. That's my rainbow.
Couldn't have said it better. Thanks, girl. Where can people find you and your book someday?
Well, my Instagram is the Kendra Larkin. I tried to keep it very easy.
Nope.
So you can find all things there. That's where you'll find a lot of my travel stuff, because I do my travel blogging and I have too many photos in my phone. I do all of my fun movie reviews there because I'm a big cinephile, and especially in quarantine, all I'm doing is watching movies. So my Instagram, at the Kendra Larkin, that's where you can find everything. The website is the same, Kendra Larkin.
You can also find her songs.
You can find my songs there too. My songs are under Kendra McKenzie. That's my middle name. So all my music is there. SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, all of that's there too, in case you like dance music and you like to dance.
All right, girl. Love you. Great to connect.
Love you too, Lynsey. Thank you for having me.
That was such a treat. Talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.